Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the Season 2 review of the Orkney save that we are doing over on Twitch. As you remember from last time out, we got to this playoff final in Season 1, felt agonisingly close in that game against Devon from the Highland League. So yeah, let's see how we get on this year. Obviously, we're trying to do one better this year, see if we can get promoted. As usual, we'll talk you through all the transfers, all the happenings, how we got on during the season, and yeah, see if we can go one further than we did last time. So let's jump into it. Before we jump into things, if you are enjoying these little videos, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of them, how you think I can improve on them. And if you feel like you want to, drop a like, and if you want, subscribe, and you can be alerted for when these videos come out. I don't really have a set schedule for YouTube videos at the minute. I'm just sort of doing them as and when the seasons end, and recording them a few days sort of after I've done it on stream. But yeah, I might be looking at doing some more dedicated YouTube content in the future. But yeah, let's get into the rest of the video. So I thought we'd start off by going through who we released at the end of the first season. So obviously, the way this works on FM is you sort of have to go into a little bit of detail. You have to go into the released players, and you have to look at sort of like the end of the first season. So as you can see from this list here, we lost these 6 players at the end of the first season. Eric Buse retired. He became a coach, which was really good because we've hired him. He's now internally one of our coaches. Chris Simpson, who we knew was getting on, he also retired. He's gone back to the start. So, and then we've also got the likes of Kieran Sweeney, who we couldn't get back, I'm afraid. Now, obviously, I'm doing this a little bit after, so at the end of the season, so some of these players have moved on already. So Louis Swanson, for example, who was a little bit of a bit part player, obviously we let him go. He ended up going to a level a bit further below. Abdullah Ahmed, that was a big miss. We obviously want to keep him back, but I don't think he's really moved up to any bigger levels. And Duxbury as well, who we brought in and then immediately got rid of because we realised we didn't need him. So yeah, we didn't really lose too many players from that aspect. I'll go through some of the ins now. So these were the ins we had. We basically brought in about 6 players and obviously let go 6 players. So the change of the squad wasn't too heavy. I will admit now, having done the season, I said this on stream during the season, this was not my best transfer window. I felt like I struggled quite a lot to find capable players that I wanted in the squad. So for example, the first guy we brought in right at the start of July was Mark Burbage, who was basically the Abdullah Ahmed backup. He left such a hole on that left-hand side. Obviously, we brought in Rochelle Service sort of later on. He was only a youngster, but Mark Burbage came in, and he's not thrilling. And he didn't end up getting much game time at all. Only 8 appearances. So he wasn't really used, and he didn't want to stay, and I didn't really play him there, and Service developed so much better than I thought, that I thought it was better just to use him than use Service too much. Greg Stewart was tricky. So this was a midfielder that I saw and thought I really needed to bring him in. Now, if you look at his contract, had to promise quite a lot for him to turn up. Yeah, and I couldn't believe it when it happened, but I was very impressed with him. And to be fair, he had a really good year, 25 appearances and 4 goals, but he had a really good average rating. You can't see it there, but it's about a 7, just over a 7. And yeah, looking to really keep him in Season 3. He's a really, really good midfielder. Maybe try and build something around him, because he can play in this number 10 role as well. So if we ever want to change shape a little bit, he could play in there quite easily. And then we also had this guy, Craig Truesdale, who again we got off a free. We were trying to get frees from teams that have released players around our level and a little bit above. He was another one. I didn't really know where his best position was, but I liked his versatility and the fact that he can play on the wing. We even got him training on the wing a little bit as a sort of a backup on the right wing. As it turned out, he didn't really need to be played there, because Delde would ultimately end up playing right wing for a lot of the year. But he was a good backup in the ball-winning midfielder, and latterly into the season I wanted to train him as a ball-winning defender, because I thought, or ball-winning midfielder, sorry, because I thought he had the ability to do so, and only 24. Ultimately, again, though, he didn't get as much game time as he really wanted. So ultimately, he hasn't developed as much as I thought he would. And then I got Dylan Dykson as well, who on paper doesn't look as good, but he played basically most games. Unthrilling, unspectacular, did the job, picked up quite a few yellow cards from memory. But whether or not he will be staying for Season 3 is another question. just because if he starts his age, he's not getting any better, and I think we can probably get a little bit better in there. And then I was desperate. I was desperate for centre defenders from anywhere. So I ended up I go hunting in the Northern Irish League. So I thought they needed to be British leagues because the work permit system. So I went looking in the sort of lower ends of the Northern Irish League. So I ended up going down to the third tier to get Andrew Dryly, who on paper at the time looked like a really good defender. It looked better than what I could find in this area of Scotland. And he ended up starting the season quite well, but he did tail off, and I did end up having to sub him out for one of our existing players already. So whether or not he stays for the third season is up in the air. I also got his mate. I got another one, Dylan Whiteway, who is probably slightly better. He's a year younger and probably got a little bit more in him. So it was whether a case of whether we keep both of them. Obviously, I had to offer them quite a fair wage, but we do have money in the bank, so that's not too much of a problem. And they neither of them really cemented down that centre half position, unfortunately. So that might be another way we go down. We may have to go down that route again to go and look for more players in that sort of position. But they weren't massive successes anyway. But let's have a look now at the season as a whole, and I'll let you know how we got on. So as you can see here, we did win the league again. It was only by 5 points, and I can tell you that does not tell the whole story. It was a trickier year. It was a definitely trickier year. I remember going into the last stream with about 5 games to go, or maybe not even that. It might have been even in the penultimate stream where we were about third and we were 4 points behind Invergordon, and then we played 3 or 4 games and we closed that gap completely and flipped it because Invergordon had a terrible run of form. And we did end up winning the league by 5 points. We won it with a game to spare. Thurso really ran us ragged a little bit for the latter parts of the season. Holkirk were good this year. Invergordon sort of tailed off and then came back. Nairn came up quite late on, sort of charging to the top 4. Golspie were pitiful all year. Yeah, one of their points was a 3-3 draw with us. So that was embarrassing. But I will never trust Golspie as far as I can throw them. Which is not very far. So yeah, we did end up winning the league, which of course gets us into the playoff system. So let's change over to that now. As you can see here, we swept it. We swept Brufty and Dufftown. This doesn't tell the whole story. I'll show you here. In the 2 games that we played Dufftown, or in the 1 game we played Dufftown, sorry, we were 5-1 up. I want to say we were 5-1 up. And it ended up being about 5-4. It might have even been a 6-4 or something like that. It was mad. It was absolutely mental. But we beat Brufty 1-0 at home. The way it worked this time is we had the second and third game in the playoffs as opposed to the first and the third, which means if we get into it next year, we might end up doing the same thing. But no, we had a great run, and it's really given me confidence that if we end up in this situation again, no spoilers, that we might be okay. So let's see how we get on in the main playoff. Yes, unfortunately, we did not win. We played Keith, who finished bottom, who, to be fair, were not the team I expected to finish bottom. I expected it to be someone like Lossiemouth, who ended up finishing quite respectable in the end. I mean, if you go off season preview, which is obviously a bit skewed now, Lossiemouth are 900 to 1. Keith were 400 better. They should not have been down there. I was expecting Lossiemouth to be down there. But no, we ended up... Well, I'll just show you. We ended up losing 1-0 away at Keith. An 86th minute header at the back post. And we ended up going down 1-0, which I didn't think was too bad. I thought, you know what, that's fine. We'll take them back to our place, and we might do a job on them. You know, we were really solid. We didn't play badly. We didn't get any stupid red cards. We didn't get anything like that. And yeah, we just couldn't get anything going. I think the big occasion might have got to us a little bit, which my chat sort of mentioned at the time might be something to read into for next year. Get some players with a little bit more experience at the higher level, so they experience these sort of high-profile games. Because as you can see in the attendance, there's 850 people there, and as you can see from my attendances, even though we were doing well, you know, we're getting 100. Maybe we're playing in front of 50 for away. So to play them playing in front of 850 is that step up. And then, yeah, we had 500 at our place, which I think is about as many as we can get in the ground, which, of course, is just a school. And we drew 0-0, and if you look at the stats, like, nothing happened. It was extremely even, which is perfect if we were hanging on to a 1-0, but we weren't. And as you can see, this is sort of how we lined up, and this was the line up for the year effectively. You had Ramage and Gaffney up front, Dale on the right, Service on the left, Stewart and Dykes in the middle, and then Henderson, Thompson, and Ben Cameron of all people playing at right back. And then we also had Kane Thompson who came in. I should really show you actually that the latterly the because this is basically this is how it works. If you want to make signings that come into your team sort of like later on, they don't pop up until they're down here. So our signings were actually sort of here that we'd made. So obviously Gaffney, Thompson, Service, McNeil, Dryden. They were all our signings that we'd made prior to the start of season 2. So I should really go through these now. So Rob Dryden was a left back, basically took over from Henderson when he had a bad injury. Did okay, was unthrill. It wasn't the most thrilling. Then we had Cameron McNeil, who was sort of a right winger to replace Delday in case he dropped off. But again, really struggling to find people with really good quality. He was very quick. So he was useful when he came off the bench, but ultimately just didn't play all that often. And then beyond that, we had Rochelle Service, who I got from Leamington. He's a 16-year-old. He's a little bit of a future project. He's a bit more of a he's development in progress. He's coming along nicely, but I've got to make sure he's getting regular game time because obviously we don't have any reserves. So he was our number 1 left winger, and he's going to stay for season 3. And I'm going to keep mentioning him because he did do really well. He got 11 assists. I think he was one of the leading assists in our club. So he's done really well, and he's only 17. So there's time for him to still improve yet. And then we had Kane Thompson, who was a sort of a right back replacement. Obviously, we had a bit of a fiasco where we signed 2 right backs and we only needed 1, so I had to release 1 very quickly. But Kane, he did a really good job at right back and actually made Ben Cameron a little bit upset, but it was going to be okay because Ben Cameron ultimately played a lot of season as centre half. And then Cameron Duxbury, we know, didn't stay for very long. Miles Gaffney was a striker I brought in. Did he have a season and a half? He was exceptional. He was playing in that sort of pressing forward role. Got 19 from 26, 12 assists. He got 22 goals in all comps because he got 13 in non-competitive games and 3 in the cups. He was great. He did a really good job. I'm happy to be reporting that he will be staying for season 3 as well. And then finally, I believe there's one more. There's 2 more. Jack McLean was a backup goalkeeper. Didn't play. I've signed him on as just a backup again. There's nothing really else to say. He's just a backup keeper because we needed one. Greg Alexander, I signed, but was already released. He was a backup midfielder, but it was just one too many. Like we didn't have that many games the way we were going to play, so he left us soon after. So that's the results. That's the squad. Well, that's the results. That's the results and that's the squad. So let me show you a little bit about how we played for this season and where we should improve for next season. Before I do get into that, let's just have a quick look over the results as a whole. So because we're in a few more cups this year, so there's a little bit more to show you. The North of Scotland Cup, which was a cup for the North of Scotland teams between Highland League teams and our league and Ross County under 18s for whatever reason. We got through the first round of that, but we ended up getting knocked out in the semi-finals after beating Brora Rangers of the league above quite convincingly, which was a really good sign early in the season. As you can see, lost our first game of the season again to Invergorn, as you do. Came right back against Holkirk. Was knocked out of the Football Times Cup straight away. Not a problem with that. And then, of course, we made our debut in the Scottish Cup. And as you can see, we went through against Leith, who were, I think, a team from the East of Scotland League, but at our level, breezed past them. We then beat Formartine, who were from the Highland League, again, got through them in extra time. In fact, September was a great month. We only dropped 1 point in a 4-4 draw against St Duthas. And then ultimately lost 5-4 after extra time against Gala Ferrydean Rovers, who again are in the Lowland League, but they were a very lowly side. And we should have beaten them, if you ask me. And as you can see in the league, we sort of, again, had a couple of draws and a loss here. This is where things started to get a bit ropey and we dropped off a little bit. But then ultimately Invergorn did as well. And ultimately that was as bad as the run would get. That was 2 draws and a loss, and that was as bad as things would get. Backed up with a few more wins. Got through the North Caledonian Cup first round and the quarter-final, but lost in the semi-final to Invergorn again. This loss to Thurso, I will point out, because at the time I didn't realise, but this brought Thurso right into the mix. And I only realised that after, we drew our next game and all of a sudden things started to look a little bit ropey. But then, as it goes, March and April, absolutely flawless, including a 6-5 over Fort William and a 6-4 over Dufftown. The amount we defended was not very good. That was one big concern, which made me think that the tactic needs tweaking. We were scoring tons of goals, but then we'd concede a lot. As you can see here, I think we went about 5-1 up and it ended up 6-5. They came roaring back in the last sort of 20 minutes and we just didn't have an answer. And then, of course, this 6-4, again, we were charging ahead. I think we were 5-0 up after 39 minutes. 6-0 up after 57. And it ended 6-4. So, yeah, I don't really have an answer for you there. It was just a very strange game to be a part of. But yeah, so that's basically how our season went. Again, close but no cigar. Agonisingly close. We're edging ever closer to where we want to be. But let's show you how we lined up. So this is effectively what we played. We played a 4-2-4 again with our sort of wingers bombing on a little bit on attack. But we the only difference really from last season is we sort of brought back the fullbacks to just be no nonsense, stay there and defend. And I think it improved their ratings and how they played. Henderson, I noticed, played a lot better this year. His ratings were a lot better because I think he had a long-term injury actually at some point, so he did miss a bit of time, but he's come on really well, and this is his main role now, and I think it works for both of them because it lets them focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's just defend. Defend as a 4. You don't need to push forward because the wingers are there, and you just got to bomb it on. And as you can see, the links speak for themselves. And yeah, this strike force worked really well, and it meant Del Day went back out on the right wing. He still had a terrific season. He still got 15 goals from right wing because, well, not just from right wing, but later in the game, if it wasn't working or if Ramage was a little bit tired or whatever, we would sub him off. Del Day would be up front and McNeil would go on the right wing. So it was a simple switch, and he still ended up getting 15 goals and 8 assists. So another really good year for him. I don't know if he's getting better or worse. He just keeps performing, and he will be in my first team, whatever happens. I think I'm going to try and move into striker next year. I'm almost thinking about playing a 3. I just think this formation is great when it works. When it doesn't, we need a plan B, which I'm sort of thinking about what we should do for season 3 as to terms what is a plan B. Maybe if we need to hang on for a lead, or we need to push for an equaliser or whatever. Because obviously there's been a major patch as well in FM23 at this point, which I think is lessening the chance of long balls over the top and direct play a little bit. So it makes you almost encourage you to get the ball on the ground a little bit more. And I think that's what we maybe need to work on for next year. In terms of signings, I know for a fact that at the end of season 2 we have lost the Northern Irish lads, the 2 centre half. They've gone. Truesdale has gone. Burbage has gone, Dykes has gone, John Pickles has retired. So, I mean, I could, in fact, yeah. Let me just show you where I'm up to in terms of season 3. Bear with me 1 minute. So this is where I'm at right now in game. This is what's left. This is the team that we have left. As you can see, it's not very large. I'll even move you over here so you can see all the names here. This is all we've got. And John Pickles will be leaving us. He will be leaving at the start of June. So there's a huge rebuild to be done here. Ultimately, we've kept the first 11, almost all of the first 11, and we just need to add to it. So I'm looking at new midfielders. I want to give Stewart some help. I want to get Service some help, if you pardon the pun, and maybe move Del Day into a more forward role up here and bring in a really good right winger. But the availability is just not there at the minute. Defensively, I think we're okay. I would like to improve on it because I know that Craig Thompson is getting on. He's good. I mean, he was exceptional. He got 8 goals from centre half because of his free kicks and his penalties. He was excellent. He was excellent. He was really, really good. But I want to improve on it. I want to get someone a little bit better who can play centre half and just build on that a little bit. And I want to improve the midfield. I think the strike force is still fine. Maybe we can add somebody into it, or maybe we can add somebody in another area and move Del Day into this third striker role. I don't want to not play any of them because they all had such good years. Ramage got 21 goals in 24, or 25 in 26 in all comps. 31 in 38, including friendlies. So there's no real reason to change the strikers at the minute. We're doing so well up there. It is just about behind them that needs to improve. And I think that might be a change of system. Maybe we move Stewart into a number 10 here and only play one striker. Maybe we need to go ultra attacking and play 3 across the line here and only play one ball winning midfielder. I'm not entirely sure yet. So I'm looking at it. Maybe we need to play more narrower. Maybe play Service in here alongside Delde. Maybe into that. Maybe go into some sort of diamond. I'm not entirely sure, but that is effectively where we're at now. So yeah, that's where the club is after 2 seasons. Whether or not we're better off, I think we're definitely better off. But whether or not we are in a position to go up, actually go up in the 3rd season, it's a complete gamble. It's your whole season lies on 2 games, right at the end. And one thing I have noticed is players can get upset in terms of promises not being kept if they want to leave, such and such, and that's probably more on me and not allowing them the promises what they should have, or not giving the correct promises out, and that causes disruption. And I think as well we just need players who can play in those big games a little bit more and just be more suited to this, and also provide the quality, because I still think you can blow teams away if you play the right players. I really think we are capable of it. So yeah, that's basically the squad. That's basically the state of the team right now. So that is the end of the review. That is 2 seasons with Orkney. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you think there's anywhere we can improve from what you've seen. Let me know as well what you think of the style of these videos. I've tried to tweak it a little bit from the first one, but I don't know how successful that's been. And yeah, I will be back with hopefully a successful review of season 3. And yeah, I might be looking to do some more content like this over the Christmas period. Hopefully everyone's got a little bit more free time. And yeah, that's all I've got time for. So hopefully, if you do want to catch this live, obviously twitch.tv/jamsock is where you can find it. And if not, I will see you here for the next review video. So thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.